Hey everybody, welcome back to Kill by Daylight. It is that time once again for another dev update. This one is for January 2023, the first one of the year. I have read through it. I have opinions on some things, I have questions for others, but for the most part, TLDR. If you don't want to watch the rest of this video and hear me talk my luscious voice, it's a huge W, and if this is a tone setter for the rest of the year, for things to come, holy crap, I'm super excited for the year to come. But that's if they stay the course and they don't do some screw-ups, which is bound to happen. But, you know, here's fingers crossed. Anyway, let's get into it, right? Happy New Year! Team is back from holidays. Welcome back, guys. Happy New Year. First up, Survivor Activity HUD. This is a buff to solo queue survivors. This is giving solo queue survivors information that they do not have currently. Such as each survivor will now display their current action next to their portrait, including repairing a generator, opening an exit gate, healing, mending, or recovering, cleansing and blessing a totem, searching a chest, killer-specific actions, example, snapping out of it, waking up, etc., etc. This not only gives you vital information to plan your next move, but also gives you some visibility on what your teammates are doing to build camaraderie between you and your It's not doing that. I want to know if some dummy is getting chased so I can kind of let down my guard a bit on this generator and zone out a bit, because doing gens is boring. Also, I would love to know where the Claudette is at all times, if she's doing something useful or useless, or not at all. Yeah, they specify these actions are only visible among survivors. Killers won't be able to, and won't be told what you're doing at all times. That's duh. If that were the case, that would be dumb. Because then I can be like, oh, the only one working on a gen is Adam. Let me go search the gens and harass him. Because then nobody is doing a gen. Everybody's, fucking Vito is doing bones. Jeff's being chased there. Zareen is opening a chest, but Adam's doing a gen. Let me go chase him off the gen real quick. So there's that. Beyond actions, you'll add a new indicator to signify the survivors in chase. We just touched on that. It's those little fang doodles there. They're called claws, I guess. Also, the big claws stay for obsession. Basically, that's the TLDR. The killer will also see that, right? Going forward, any survivor being chased surround the portrait. Meanwhile, the obsession will always have blah blah blah, keeping the effect visually similar. Unlike your current activity, the killer also sees who they are chasing, making it possible to distinguish two similarly dressed survivors. I've had it happen several times where I'm just like playing a game against two Megs or Nias that are dressed in the same exact attire because they just got it out of the rift, and I downed the person I didn't want to down because that's tunneling and I don't like to tunnel. So this should help with that. So yay. Also, they've added a new health state to show when a survivor is being carried by the killer. They say it is this could be confusing for newer players who are looking for auras of dying teammates. That's why they changed it. That helps me, by the way. Hi, that helps me, who's been playing the game for almost 3 years. Because there's points where I'm on the generator, somebody gets knocked down, I'm like, okay, whatever. But then the skill check happens, and I have to focus on the skill check. I can't whip my camera around to see where the teammate is. And by the time I start to look for them, they're already picked up, so that helps me a wee bit. Why these actions, TLDR? It brings solo queue survivors information up to what Swifts have. Basically, they say it's this is the fairest option they see to bridge the gap between solo and Swift, and they'll be looking closely at the impact these changes have on solo, pre-made, and overall gameplay. This is not a buff to Swift. Swift gets nothing out of this. Solo queue basically just gets what Swift kinda has, right? If you're in a Swift, you don't care about this stuff because, well, you're on comms and go, oh, he's chasing me, do gens, or I'm on a gen currently. I'm opening a chest, I'm doing a totem. You don't need this information, you already have it. The updated wiggle mechanic, I think this is dumb. This is dumb for the most part. And I'll explain why, right? They did the wiggle beta thing, roughly 83% of players are currently opted in. Well, that beta is coming to a close because it's officially being integrated into the game. As a result, will disappear from the beta tab in 6.5.0. Whoopity-doo. They're making changes before it goes live, right? First off, we're removing faster wiggle progression from great skill checks. That's great. Hitting all great skill checks could shave off a whole second. While this sounds small, it could be the difference between wiggling free and getting hooked. I've had instances where I've been carried a long way, and if I just hit that last great skill check, I would have gotten off of his shoulder, but no, instead I'm on a hook. So yeah, it's a pretty big friggin' deal. But rather than increasing wiggle speed, great skill checks will instead increase the amount of wiggle killer's sway while carrying you by 20%. That's where we have a problem, right? Because this, I'm assuming, stacks with boil over. Boil over, since I've started playing, has always been a very weird perk for me, right? It's always been a little sussy-bussy, to use the cool kids terminology. Every time I pick somebody up, it's always a 50-50 whether it's gonna work, quote-unquote, work properly, right? Because in theory, it should sway you back and forth, left to right, in a greater fashion, right? I think currently it's 80% increased wiggle sway, or whatever the hell they want to call it as. But there's some times where I just can't move forward. And I do remember a while ago, a year and a half, 2 years ago, where hackers were using boil over to do that type of stuff. So every time it happens, I'm just like, this is not correct. This is not how this perk works. Boil over does not stop the killer from moving forward. It just increases the sway that they have back and forth to bump into things side to side. So now that they're doing this, with great skill checks increasing the amount of sway by 20% on top of 80%, well, that's 100% sway. Something isn't good here, and I'll let you figure it out. It's boil over. But great skill check success zones have also been increased in size since they are now less impactful. Everybody's going to be running boil over, which means killers will have to run agitation and iron grasp. That's not good for the meta. That's not good at all. This is dumb. This is dumb. Unless you're nerfing boil over into the fucking ground, this cannot happen. It just can't. Boil over right now, like I said, it feels like it works sometimes, and other times it's very suspicious. Like, it just stops my forward momentum. Go watch that video I just posted. I pick somebody up, and I'm like, oh, they have boil over, okay. And I'm just like, I can't, the hook is, I see the hook right here. I can't move forward. I drop them, I pick them up, and then I can suddenly move forward again, conveniently, but they get out because of how the dropping works. I don't know if that's a bug, or if that's a hacker. I can never tell. It's fucking bad. It's really bad. And this is not gonna help it. Second, we've added a new sound effect for non-attempts. Basically, they've changed that bong, 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 that noise. It's the missed skill check sound if you don't want to wiggle. Like, every time I play against a Wesker, I just put my controller down when I'm down, because I'm not wiggling, and there's no point. Third, we've cleaned up this new system's interaction with decisive. Previously, wiggle skill checks would start immediately after decisive strike. Now there's a half a second delay between that. Okay, do people still use decisive strike ever since it got nerfed to the ground? I don't know, haven't seen it. From that shit stain to the nurse is getting nerfed. TLDR, Omega Blink nurse is no more. They're changing her add-ons to be something different, but also they're doing something I've been suggesting for a while now. Every time the nurse needs a nerf topic comes up for the billionth time, and her blink attack is no longer a normal attack. It's a special attack, so it doesn't proc Starstruck, Noed, things like that. Devour Hope. So, Haunted Grounds. So, that's a big change. That's huge. That's great. They've also added a new sound cue when she has her blinks fully recharged. Okay, they're like, oh, so you can know without having to keep an eye on the corner of the screen. I'm still gonna do that, because that's the easiest way to tell. Unless it's like, blinks recharged, blinks recharged. It's not gonna be that sound effect, so no. Beyond that, they're basically doing an seemingly complete add-on pass, kind of. Batman's Last Breath is now a successful blink attack. The nurse becomes undetectable for 25 seconds. That can happen only every 45 seconds. And once all blinks are exhausted, the nurse may teleport back to her original position. Once she returns, all blink charges are restored. Okay, cool. Also, there's a large list of things are being changed, but we can expect them to be changed at least. Cool. Spasmodic Breath will also receive new audio and visual feedback to make it clearer when its effects are active. I don't know what that is. Not a nurse player. So, there's that. The Knight, he's getting a change. TLDR, hey guys, you're playing him like how you play Artist, and both ways are wrong. So stop that, but we're not gonna judge you for it. This is very snarky to me, this entire piece right here, because they were listening to feedback. One recurring piece of feedback we received is how the Knight's power is best used in loops rather than over long distances. While this is totally valid way to use his power, we would also like it more appealing to use his power in different ways. They are, this is not a valid way to use him. Just drop your guard right in the middle of a loop and then continue the chase. No, you created a killer that has a very unique power in that you etch a sketch a path, and at the end of that path, another killer happens to be there, and that killer then chases the survivor if it detects one. Not drop sword, pick up sword, now my guard is here, now I can shut down an entire TL wall. No, that's dumb. People saw that the Knight sucks and decided to play him in the lamest way possible, just like they saw that Artist has a whole lot of potential as a ranged killer, but she doesn't do it well enough, so they decided to play her in the lamest way possible, and every fucking YouTuber decided to spread that information. Don't coddle these dummies. Fucking say, hey, you're playing him in the worst way possible. How about we're buffing him to change that? Yeah. Firstly, the orbs survivors see when the killer is creating a path will shrink in with distance, disappearing completely when the path is longer than 10 meters. I would say you shouldn't be able to see the orb at all from the get-go. Like, that's just me. This will make it more difficult for survivors to avoid a guard before they become active, though the killer will still need to predict where the survivor will go, because you can't see the survivors while you're in it. You're like Spirit. I think that would be a great trade-off. You can't see the survivors, but the survivors can't see your orb at all. So they can see you drop a knee and then be like, okay, where the fuck did he go? Just like you have to be like, all right, where the fuck did they go? At least have this to 5 meters. I don't know. This feels very weird. This entire section feels very weird. Secondly, creating a path longer than 10 meters. Knight will gain haste effect for a few seconds. Longer the path, longer the movement speed bonus will last. Aims to help the killer catch up using his power. This is dumb. This is stuff the killer should have had since day one. So I don't know why you're putting an arbitrary like 10-meter prerequisite on it. It just feels bad. I'm sure it'll make him play even better than he is, but it feels very weird. Third, guards will move to the position they spotted a survivor and begin chasing faster depending on the length of the patrol. Like haste, only paths longer than 10 meters will benefit from this. This all feels very arbitrary. An arbitrary 10 meters. Fucking why? It just feels bad. It feels weird. Guards kicking a gen will now reduce it by 5% instead of the default 2.5. They don't add damage perks. That's basically it. Lastly, we have to admire the creative ways some of you have used the Knight's power. Rather than locking down an area or aggressively chasing survivors, some of you have discovered that you can start drawing a path and not move to hide your terror radius, particularly near a hooked survivor. While the efficiency of doing this is debatable, it doesn't suit his playstyle, so we've added a 10-second limit to his patrol path creation. This gives enough time to not affect the typical path, but it will put a hard limit on how long you can stay still and hide your terror radius. I have ran into, I think, about less than a handful of Knights because he sucks. Nobody wants to play him. Everybody wants to play Wesker. And that's dumb. The Wesker's dumb. I've never encountered anybody doing this. If they're camping hook, it is popping sword down, picking sword up immediately. The guard is sitting in front of the hook for a good 25 seconds. So now you cannot dive hook. That's what happens. This all feels snarky. It all feels arbitrary with their 10s. Like 10-second limit, 10 meters, 10 meters, 10 meters. Why? It's bad, man. Area Crow's getting changed. Many players have reported that the map felt survivor-sided. Yeah, I guess. That's up for debate, though, I guess. This is something we can back up looking at our data. Holy shit, they looked at data correctly this time. The remainder of this map will be changing shapes, which I read that originally and went, wait, you could just do that? And you chose to do it now for the first time? Rather than a long rectangle, the map will be roughly square, allowing killers to control gens more easily. This change in shape also reduces the overall size slightly. They're doing this to this. Not just slightly, that's a big one. Maze tiles, strong tiles with tall walls have been moved away from the main building and shack, make it harder to combine into stronger loops. Again, you could do this always, and you're just choosing to do it now on Eyrie of Crows. Okay. Last but not least, several new tiles have been added to the map. Existing tiles have had new foliage added in strategic places to allow trapping killers to better hide their traps, keeping an eye out. This is new, this looks neat, I guess. That's a very unsafe palette. That's it, that's my takeaway. Just chase them this way and not this way so they can't get a fast vault. Hope you'll find the new Eyrie Crows much, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? In-game tracker. This is something that every game should have that has a battle pass system with challenges. It's literally showing you your progress on a challenge that you have equipped. That's nice. You can choose 2 settings that indicate progression on the challenge as well as its completion. No more guessing. Thumbs up. That's a W. That's a huge dub. Huge dubski. Game flow. That thing they said they were doing about 6 months ago, they're finally doing. If you're queued up for a match, you can now go into the tome and select a challenge without having to cancel the match or back out of the lobby. You can now also spend blood points in the blood web as you wait. It's a thing you could do anyway. But you can now browse the archives in the store. Also, killers, you can change customize your non-selected killers while you wait. They also do have to specify the killer you enter the match with will be the killer you started the search with. So nothing really changed there, but okay, cool. Merciless Killer, this is the big one. This is my favorite one so far. Or out of the entire thing, because we're done with it basically. We've made a small update to Merciless Killer ratings. Although I do love how it's finally. We have made a small update. These ratings are currently tied to grade systems where a double pip earns you a Merciless Killer result and the corresponding Adept Killer achievement / trophy. Unfortunately, this means that as your grade increases, it becomes harder to earn these achievements. That has been something that everybody has complained about since like the dawn of the game, as far as my understanding is. Since the emblem system has transitioned to a monthly ladder and is obsolete, it no longer makes as much sense for the match results to be based on. Cleaning things up, the results you get after the match will now be tied directly to kills. No kills, the entity hungers. 1 to 2 is Brutal Killer, 3 kills Ruthless, and 4K is Merciless. With this change, the requirement for a Merciless Killer rating is much clearer and remains the same regardless of your grade. This will also make Killer Adept achievements a similar level of difficulty to their Survivor counterparts. I think I said that several times during the Survivor Adept challenges. It's like, Survivor literally has to go into a match with their 3 default perks and win the trial. Escape by any means necessary. Killer has to jump through every fucking loop imaginable and make sure you chase enough, make sure you end chases quick enough though. Make sure the gen isn't 4 gens don't pop within 9 minutes. It is very arbitrary numbers and challenges, very weird. So the fact that now it is like, Survivor, put on 3 default perks and win. Killer, put on 3 default perks and win. Okay. Iridescent shard prices, now you can buy cosmetics with shards for the Clown, Ace, sure, and the 2 people that you actually want, Fang and Spirit. So yeah, also their update on cheating, they in 2022 they have banned 64,601 people that have been hacking. The team is still hard at work finding and patching new vulnerabilities, and we hope to share more info as soon. Again, the whole boil over thing makes me concerned that there's way more. Again, it's just very weird. Just very weird. I've had several I think there's several videos I've put out that is like, this is not correct. I can't move forward. It's literally, I have to drop the Survivor and let him slug. And even then, they're running fucking Unbreakable, so what the fuck is the point? It's so bad, so dumb. So, yeah, PTB is tomorrow as of this recording, and it's planned to be released later this month. I'm assuming this will coincide with the next tome release, which the current tome just got extended. Yep. I have feelings about that. But that means the next tome is also delayed. So if everything that is leaked is true, hopefully the knight gets his tome and his buff at the same time so we can actually do challenges correctly. That'd be great. But it's a pretty good dev update, like I said. Like, the solo queue survivor buff, that's a W. The wiggle mechanic, boy, they have to really fucking watch this number and watch how this works. Because, good luck hooking anybody in the next update, is what I'll say, without, Iron Grasp or Agitation. That's all I'll say. Nurse being nerfed, W. The knight being buffed in the most sarcastic way possible, sure, it's a W. Area Crows being changed, that we have to wait to see what the map actually looks like now, because if it's... I know they're like, oh, the change in shape reduced the overall size slightly. Again, you're changing a rectangle to a square-ish. It'll be roughly square, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it works, how it looks. In-game challenge tracker, W. Game flow improvements, it's neat, I guess, W. Merciless Killer, easy, simplified adept achievements. I still have to get good with Huntress to get a 4K. So, it's a W anyway. Iridescent shard prices. I guess if you're looking to simp over Spirit or Fang, I mean, unlock cosmetics for those two with Eerie Shards, there you go, because nobody's doing it for Clown, or basically Ace. So if you do use Eerie Shards for purchases, a W. And cheating, if you're banning hackers, it's always a W in my book. You're making the game better. 71 out of 78 people found this helpful. I'm assuming people had a problem with one specific thing. One very specific feature that was called out. I don't know which one though. That'll do it for this episode. This should be going up with gameplay because I don't want just a discussion video and there's no gameplay. So there should be gameplay up somewhere here. But for now, I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed what you witnessed, which was basically me just talking over a webpage, but if you find that cool, hook the like button, more subscribe button, bing bong that bell, and until next time, I will see you in the fog. Good luck.